Hi, good evening and a warm welcome to all. I am Mridul Mishra on behalf of Care Ratings. Welcome you to our today's webinar on sugar industry. We sincerely appreciate your time in joining us for this webinar. Please be informed that we'll be having a Q&A session at the end of our panel discussion. In case of any queries, you are please requested to key in your questions. May I request now Gaurav Dikshit, who is the Associate Director at Care Ratings, based out of a Delhi office, to begin the proceedings, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madhu. A very warm welcome to all of you and to our distinguished guest panelist. We are grateful to him for taking out time for this webinar. I have the honor of first introducing our guest today, Mr. Nalin Gupta, the Joint CFO for Dhampur Sugar Mills Limited. Mr. Gupta is an experienced professional and has spent over 2 decades in the sugar sector. Thanks for joining, Nalinji.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you.
From CARE, I have my colleague Ravleen, who along with me will be taking you through this webinar. How we have planned this webinar today is that we would run through a small presentation followed by a discussion with our esteemed guest and thereafter take questions from the participants. So getting on with the presentation. In the webinar today, we would provide an overview of the sector along with the global and domestic production, consumption and prices trends. We shall further walk you through the issues plaguing the industry and the steps taken by the government so far to support the sector. We shall also touch upon how COVID-19 affected sugar supply chain and the global sugar prices and how ethanol is crucial for the entire value chain going ahead. Lastly, we would also discuss the key factors assessed by CARE in this sector, financial performance, rating dispersion, and migration, and share our outlook on the industry. Let's begin with a brief overview. India being the second largest producer of sugar in the world after Brazil, it produces nearly 15 to 18% of the global sugar production, and it is also one of the largest consumers. As we can all see in the graph, where we have listed 10 largest sugar producers globally, India produced nearly 27.2 million tons in 2019-20, in the global total of about 166.2 million tons. As we all know, sugar industry is a vital agro-based industry that impacts rural livelihood of about 50 million sugarcane farmers and their families and numerous workers who are directly employed in the sugar mills. Further, employment is additionally generated in varied other activities with reference to transport, trade servicing of machinery and supply of agriculture inputs. The industry is valued at over rupees 1 lakh crore and is very fragmented with largest players having not more than 3% of the total market share. As per the latest data, there are 747 installed sugar factories in the country with sufficient crushing capacity to produce around 34.5 million tons of sugar. States like UP, Maharashtra and Karnataka contribute approximately 75 to 80% of the India's sugar production. Go to the next one. Historically, sugar industry was considered as a cyclical industry. However, with the government over the years increasing the state advised price and FRP, the sugarcane crop has become one of the most remunerative one for the farmers, say as compared to a paddy or a wheat. The sugarcane farmers, as a result, have been tolerant to the delays in payment by the sugar mills, and hence the production of sugarcane and sugar has stabilized, especially in UP. Post the year 2012-13, the sugar production has declined in the country only in southern states like Karnataka and Tamil Nadu and western states like Maharashtra, which are largely dependent upon the rainfall for sugarcane production. UP has sufficient groundwater availability and hence sugar production in UP has remained largely unaffected with the weather patterns, etc. As per ISMA's estimates, Indian sugar mills are likely to produce around 30.2 million tons of sugar in the upcoming sugar season, after accounting for diversion for cane juice and bee molasses to ethanol by about 2 million tons in the current sugar season, as compared to about 0.8 million tons diverted last year. For the next sugar season, India's sugar output is expected to increase by 10% year on year. Temporary disruptions in supply chain were experienced by the millers in the time of initial lockdown, with curbs on social gatherings, celebrations, weddings. However, the same have resumed post the lifting of the lockdown to a large extent, and consumption levels are expected to be about 26 million tons. So this means that the country will increase the stock price as the balance stocks of the sweetener at the end of the current season, which is by September 21, are estimated at around 8.8 million tons. This is after expecting a 6 million tons of sugar exports. We will cover details on the export subsidy in our later slides. Here we are mentioning just to apprise you all that had this subsidy not been made available to the industry, then the stock levels would have been much higher. If you all see the chart below with the production chart above, we can see how the closing stock has been moving in tandem with the production trends, as the sugar consumption by and large remains at the same level. Further to the right is the chart giving the production trends in the current sugar season. India has already produced close to 78% of its estimated production by Feb end, and this is 20% higher than the similar period in the last sugar season. Next, please. As we all know, the sugar prices are sensitive to the demand-supply scenario. Let's have a look at the price trend. In a high supply and inventory scenario, sugar prices generally fall and even so below cost of production, resulting in losses to the sugar millers. What aided the sugar prices in sugar season 19 and 20 to stay above the cost of production was fixing the minimum support price and regulated supply by the government. Now let's quickly see the price movement in FY21 so far. The sugar prices fell by around 1.8% on sequential basis in March 20, mainly due to the imposition of lockdown in the last week of March 20, which affected its demand-supply situation during the week. Post-lockdown, sugar prices had declined by 0.3% in April 20 and by another 0.9% in May 20 on sequential basis as per the WPI. In July 20, the sugar prices improved by 4.7% month-on-month to rupees 33.9 per kg. The prices had also increased 1.6% sequentially in June 20 as per the wholesale price index. Some recovery in demand from the bulk consumers such as restaurants, which were allowed to operate though with various restrictions, is believed to have resulted in the improvement in prices. Prices currently are trading approximately at rupees 32 per kg. Even while the prices have improved in June-July 2020, they are expected to remain range-bound in coming months unless sugar MSP is hiked or export incentives are announced for sugar season 2021 by the government. Now, this is primarily because sugar production for sugar season 2021 is estimated to increase and the problem of higher inventories persists, which will restrict any major improvement in prices. The ex-mill prices in most of the states are under pressure and are showing downward trend as average prices in Tamil Nadu are hovering between rupees 3200 to 3225 per quintal, while in northern states the ex-mill prices are in the range of 3160 to 3180 per quintal, whereas ex-mill prices in Maharashtra and Karnataka are at the MSP only. The current prices are almost rupees 80 to 100 per quintal less than what was prevailing a year back during the corresponding period. To avoid the scenario wherein the cane prices grow to an uncomfortable level, it is imperative that the MSP revision takes place. Next. Now moving on, let's have a look at the global sugar scenario, as the global patterns have a definite impact on the domestic scenario. The global consumption of sugar has been showing a rising trend on consistent basis except in season 1920. The impact of the pandemic on disruptions in global supply chains, trade flows and economies due to restrictions in movement has had a massive impact on global sugar demand in the 1920 season. As per the USDA, global sugar consumption is forecasted to increase in the 2021 season by 1.5% to approximately 172.8 million tons compared to 1920 season. The global sugar production is largely dependent upon the production in Brazil, India, EU, Thailand and Australia. In the 1920 season, the global sugar production was approximately 171.2 million metric tons, as major producing countries reduced output due to the weather-related complications and increased ethanol output. The Brazil sugar output in the 1920 season was limited due to an increase in the ethanol production, as ethanol is deemed profitable. Brazil, 35% of the sugarcane was directed to sugar production, while 65% was diverted toward the ethanol production. Further, the unfavorable weather conditions led to reduced output from India, EU, and Thailand. The International Sugar Organization estimates the global sugar output at 169 million metric tons against the consumption of 172.8 for the current year. The projected increase in sugar deficit to 3.78 million metric tons is due to the lower production estimates in the EU, Brazil, and Thailand, with Brazil contributing closer to 1/5 of the world's total sugar output. Might see a dip in production in 2021 due to a drier weather condition and a relatively firmer outlook for crude oil, which will result in higher diversion for ethanol. Thailand also, due to dry weather, may see a lower crop this year, while European Union is set to witness a fall in sugar production for the third consecutive year due to the reduced acreage and high incidence of viral diseases. With easing of lockdown restrictions, the sugar demand from major Asian countries, especially Indonesia and China, the top two importing countries are likely to be higher. Even after accounting for reduction in its sugar output due to the ethanol diversion of 1.5 million metric ton or so, India is likely to produce 30.2 metric ton of sugar, mainly due to increased output in Maharashtra and Karnataka. Now let's focus on the second graph in the slide, which is showing us the trend in the global sugar prices. Owing to the higher sugarcane diversion towards ethanol in Brazil in the last season and lower production, there was a surge in global sugar prices, which hovered around 14.5 cents per pound till mid-January 2020. However, prices then declined with the beginning of the pandemic. The raw sugar prices were down by 20% to 11.8 cents per pound in March 2020, and further to 10.2 cents per pound in April 2020. Again, with the subsequent easing of lockdown, the prices recovered and are currently around 17.41 cents per pound in Feb 2020. The expectation of the global deficit has kept the prices in this range, and prices are expected to remain range bound in the international market, and it is unlikely that the sugar prices will increase much from the current levels. However, in terms of outlook for the prices, we believe that the steadily rising crude oil prices and the lower global sugar output will provide the cushion to the sugar prices. However, huge inventories and robust output in the ongoing season and the near stagnant domestic demand will cap the price gains. Next. Moving on, as we have spoken about the prices, let's take a look at the trends in SAP and FRP vis-a-vis average ex-mill price. As we all know, the cane prices in India are determined through SAP or FRP depending upon the policy of the respective states. FRP for the last two seasons is unchanged at rupees 275 per quintal. It has, however, been revised to rupees 285 per quintal in 2021. Now, with respect to UP, which is the highest sugarcane producing state, SAP prices are rupees 315 per quintal, which has remained unchanged for the last three sugar seasons. As it is evident that while SAP and FRP have been rising steadily, the sugar prices have been volatile, reflecting the market conditions. The raw material side in India is controlled, whereas the revenue side is market determined, and this has distorted the Indian sugar industry in the past. Now, this graph will help us to demonstrate the impact of distortion. In the event of the domestic prices, depressed domestic prices and higher cane cost, the cane areas tend to mount high as seen in the sugar season 13-14 and 14-15 above. The government then steps in to extend support in various forms like export-linked subsidy, concessional loans, interest subvention or working capital loans to help millers clear the dues. However, higher sugar prices in season 16-17, when the prices were averaging rupees 36.20 per quintal, helped the millers to settle the cane dues as reflected by the lower cane areas payable in March 31, 2017. So depressed sugar prices due to excess sugar production adversely affects the financial health of the sugar mills, resulting in accumulation of the cane price areas. The buildup of areas is attributable to the non-payment of export subsidy and sugar buffer carrying cost, etc. The sugarcane dues is on January 31st, 2021 for the marketing year 2021 stood at around 16,883 crores. Therefore, the current system of cane pricing should be done away with as it has lost its relevance in the new era, and adopting a rationalized cane pricing mechanism is the need of the hour. Next. As we all know, since Feb 2018, Government of India has taken several measures to protect the sector. In the slide, we have mentioned a few important ones that has helped bailing the sector from the surplus. Let's take a quick snapshot of them in this slide. To help industry deal with the crisis of low sugar realization rates and help them clear their cane dues, government did extended support by fixing minimum sugar sale price at rupees 29 per kg in June 2018, and the same was raised to rupees 31 per kg in March 2019. There were suggestions around that the same may get revised to rupees 33 per kg also. However, nothing has been decided so far. The quantity restrictions imposed on the sale of sugar from June 2018 onwards, and the same is being reviewed from time to time by the government. Now, summarizing the first two measures, usually the government declares the MSP for major crops in the country. In terms of sugar stocks, there was a unsustainable level of closing inventory in sugar season 19 on the back of bumper production in 18 and 19. In such a scenario, where the supply was all-time high, sugar prices would have fallen. But what supported the sugar prices in spite of the highest level of inventory was setting up of the MSP and regulating the supply by the government. Therefore, sugar prices now have a floor after setting up of MSP, and companies are making a reasonable profit despite huge surplus stocks. Further, the mill-wise quota for selling sugar also helped regulating the supply of sugar in market and hence supported the prices. Companies which have completed their export quota are further given incentives in the way of additional quota to an extent of their monthly allocation. Further, overproduction led to a crash in prices, leading to poor liquidity, which resulted in cane eaters' stew. So it was decided by the government that carrying cost of the buffer stock will be reimbursed by them. Hence, the creation of buffer stock of 4 million tons, which was raised by 3 million tons in sugar season 19, of sugar was also announced in the past. This brought relief to the sugar millers in terms of lower inventory storage costs. However, this was ended in June 2020, and there is no further buffer stock subsidy announced for this sugar season. The next measure, as we see on this slide, is MIEQ, that is mill-wise minimum indicative export quotas, are fixed, keeping in view the high inventory levels within the sugar industry. Now, lastly, as we are all aware, the government has approved the National Policy on Biofuels, which expands the scope of raw material for ethanol production beyond sugarcane molasses by allowing use of biomass such as sugarcane, sugar beet, etc., starch-containing materials such as corn, algae, etc. And post this, the government has also revised the prices of ethanol. Now, these all measures we will be discussing in detail in our upcoming slides. I'd like to hand over to Ravleen for giving our perspective on the sector.
Thank you, Gaurav, and a very good evening, everyone. As Gaurav just apprised us about the export incentives, so let us take a look at that in detail in the current slide. Emerging exports, but are they actually sustainable for the sector? Well, as we all can see from the graph, that the exports stood very low during the years when the international prices were subdued and no export incentives were being announced from the government. And in the wake of the rising sugar surplus in the country amid the low sugar global prices, the government announced an export subsidy of rupees 10.45 per kg in the last sugar season for an export quota of 6 million ton for sugar season 20. And hence, as we see in the graph, the exports increased significantly during that period. The major destinations where the sugar was exported were Iran, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Malaysia. And if we clearly see, the exports increased from 2.45 million tons approximately to 5 million ton in 19, and it further increased to 7 million tons approximately in 1920. Also, government announced the export subsidy for the current sugar season little late. That was in around about December 2020, and the same translates to an assistance of 5.8 per kg. To be exported, which is low when compared to the last sugar season. However, currently, as Gaurav just apprised us in the last few slides, that the higher international prices are supporting that. So given the gap between the domestic and the international prices being bridged, it is remunerative for the millers to export even at this current subsidy which is being offered by the government. So as a result, the export of approximately 2.5 million tons have already been contracted. And lower exports from Thailand is also providing an opportunity to India to undertake the sugar exports. Further, container shortages and uncertainty of sugar exports to Iran due to Indian rupee shortage with Iran are few challenges that the mill owners are currently facing for the 6 million tons to be met. So in addition to this, the expected sugar outbound shipments from Brazil beginning April 2021 might also increase competition for sugar exports from India. Also, as we all know, or we have been reading through the industry reports, that the sugar export subsidies that are being offered by the Indian governments have been questioned by various members of the World Trade Organization at the Agricultural Committee meeting in last September 2020. However, nevertheless, India mentioned that the subsidy is compliant with the WTO's policy and the export subsidy can be allowed till December 2023. So exports do hold the key to India's sugar industry health in India, particularly because they are huge carryover stocks where we were higher to approximately 11 million tons. Despite the huge carryover stocks which are looming high, a more pragmatic approach is required to manage the surplus to be required. So moving on, let us have a look in the next slide. Ethanol, is it a game changer? Within the current slide, we have few global and domestic facts, which we'll go through before going on and explaining the EBP program in India. On the global front, if we see, ethanol contributes approximately 62% of the global biofuel product, and share of the biofuel and transport sector is approximately 4% globally. The global ethanol market is anticipated to register a compounded annual growth rate of 4.8% from 2020 to 2027. And USA and Brazil are dominant in ethanol production, and they account for close to 54% and 30% respectively in the global production. Brazil, as we all know, is the largest producer of sugar globally with a 18% share. It has an average ethanol blending of 48%, and most vehicles are flex fuels in Brazil, and they run on E27 and E100. Looking on the domestic front, if we see, India has only 2% share in the global production of ethanol, while it has a 17% share in the global sugar production. As we all know, it is the second largest player after Brazil. So vis-a-vis Brazil, which has a 18% share in global sugar production and a 30% stake in global ethanol production. So considering the untapped potential, national biofuel policy was announced by the government. In India, the average blending rate is only close to 5% that we have met so far, which is significantly low when compared to Brazil. So the EBP program is primarily aiming for the blend of petrol to 7.5 to 8% by 2020-21, 10% by 2022, and 20%, which was earlier by 2030, it has been preponed to 2025. So sugar industries are producing 6 million tons of surplus sugar every year, approximately. And as per the latest words from the government and ISMA that we've been hearing, a roadmap is being devised that the sugar surplus can be reduced by 2 million tons every year. And so that by 2023, India is planning to have zero surplus by diverting to ethanol. With these facts in mind, so under the national policy which was announced by the government, so under the national biofuel policy which was announced by the government of India in OMCs were advised to prioritize ethanol in order like 100% sugarcane juice, then by the B-heavy molasses, C-heavy molasses, and damaged food grains. So to give a boost to the ethanol vis-a-vis the sugar, government did announce the remunerative prices for different grades of ethanol. We all can see in the first slide itself where the different prices have been announced for sugar season 19 before the policy of the national biofuel and after. Further, it was increased in sugar year 2020, and there has been a further improvement in sugar year 21. If we see for current sugar season, there is a significant improvement in the prices of ethanol of all grades, while the government did not announce any hike in the MSP of sugar so far. So the procurement price of ethanol is linked to the MSP and not linked to the crude oil prices. Hence, there is an upside risk that if MSP of the sugar is hiked, then the procurement prices of ethanol will be hiked proportionately, leading to further improvement in the earnings of the mill owners. Given the recent substantial increase, ethanol has become very attractive for all the sugar millers, and what we can see is that the ethanol procured by the public sector OMCs has increased from 38 crore liters in ethanol supply year 2013-14 to 189 crore liters in 2018-19, and this was estimated at approximately 170 crore liters in 2019-20. So at this level, we are roughly at a blending rate of 5%, which if seen in conjunction of the past years has increased, however, lesser than the targeted 10% blending. So while ethanol production capacity for ethanol supply year 1920 stood at 427 crore liters, ethanol supply for the EBP program for the year was estimated at 195 crore liters based on the offers received from the ethanol production. And this is because produced ethanol is also used for other purposes that include the potable liquor and chemicals. OMCs received approximately 167 crore liters of ethanol up till November 2020 as per the industry reports. And if we see in the third graph to the right on the slide, where we have presented the source-wise procurement of ethanol raw material base, it was diversified. From C-heavy molasses, it was approximately 42% of the total ethanol supply contracts. And B-heavy and sugarcane juice contributed close to 40 and 90% respectively of the ethanol supply contracts of the year. And the rest was contributed by the damaged food grains. So if we compare to the earlier sugar seasons, it is a significant improvement as earlier largely everything was being given by C-heavy. And this is purely on account of the government showing a lot of thrust on the B-heavy or the direct sugarcane juice and announcing higher price realizations accordingly, which shall help industry to manage the surplus by diverting more sugarcane towards the ethanol production. So what we all learn from this is that while government is showing support in the form of increased ethanol prices for different grades of ethanol, and there is enough feedstock also in the country to produce the same and meet the blending targets, what was missing so far is the capacity and still is. So let us first in the slide look at the current capacities. The ethanol production capacity in India has almost doubled over a period of 5 years, with the capacity increasing substantially from ethanol supply year December 2017-18 onwards. And the capacity has grown at a cumulative average growth rate of 17% from 222 crore liters in the ethanol supply year 15-16 to 427 crore liters in the ethanol supply year 19 and 20. Please refer to the graph on the left side of the slide. That will all give you an indication. The government has extended soft loans for the same, which has helped the industry to increase the ethanol supply over the capacities over a year. Now, if you refer to the right table on the slide where the state-wise distillation capacity is mentioned, we'll all see that the UP, Maharashtra and Karnataka are the top 3 states, accounting for approximately 83% of the total ethanol production of 427 crore liters, with other states only contributing close together 17%. So with current distillation capacity, only 6% blending can be met even after assuming the entire distillation capacity for ethanol only. Herein we mean that we are assuming a zero volume for the industrial or the potable purpose. The capacity of 3.5 billion liters was much less than the requirement, which was approximately 5.11 billion liters to achieve a 10% blending. As a result, a hurdle in EBP was limited distillation capacity, which produced ethanol. Recognizing the constraint, the government even announced a scheme in which it will bear an interest subvention and also soft loans for companies wanting to create greenfield expansions, even from the food grains. So moving on, as per the ISMA, the total letter of intent was issued for 183 crore liters for the supply year, ethanol supply year 1920 at all India level, with major contribution from UP of 106 crore liters, followed by Maharashtra and Karnataka with ethanol supplies of 28 crore liters and 21 crore liters respectively. For the ethanol supply year, the Government of India has fixed state-wise targets of ethanol production, which advises each state or the sugar millers to utilize at least 85% of their existing capacities to produce ethanol. This is a lot more meaningful as sugarcane is largely produced in the 3 states of UP, Maharashtra and Karnataka only. Resultantly, the target fixed for ethanol supplies at all India level is around 363 crore liters, which is 85% of the total capacity of 427. Further, we have briefed up the project, how the projects have moved in this domain at the top right table on the present slide for you all. According to a government release in August 2020, we can see that the soft loans of 18,600 crores were being extended through banks to 362 crore to 362 projects of 600 crore liters approximately. For which an interest subvention of approximately 4,000 crores for 5 years was being borne by the government. So far, loans have been sanctioned to 64 projects, and completion of these projects would increase the ethanol distillation capacity by 165 crore liters in the next 2 years. So ethanol distillation capacity in the country would increase from about 427 crore liters per year to 590 crore liters by 2022. In the table at the extreme right below, we have shown the source-wise procurement status of ethanol for the current ethanol supply year. And after running you all through the E factors, which is very instrumental in balancing the looming surplus, let us in our next slide quickly summarize it for you. If we see that the for the export fronts, if we see in the wake of the cost of production in India being significantly high when compared to the cost of production globally, because of the FRP and the SAP prices being fixed high by the government. In the wake of the low international prices, to make the exports remunerative, government has to announce export subsidies. And these subsidies are announced, but there are often delays in the release of the subsidies, resulting in the building up of the cane arrears for the sugar millers. Also, exports are dependent on the global demand supply dynamics, and export subsidies being offered by the government of India have even been questioned by the World Trade Organization. So in the light of all this, we believe that the exports are relevant to manage the surplus, but not a sustainable solution, keeping in view that the India has moved to a surplus state by breaking the cyclicality. On the other hand, if we see for the ethanol, multiple prices depending on the feedstocks have been announced. We have just walked you through over that. There is less government control on the ethanol, which is sold for fuel to the OMCs. Then there is an assured offtake in the ethanol and timely payments, and this helps in managing the cane arrears for the mill owners. Also, it aids in reducing the pollution and conserving the foreign exchange, and also enables the industry to manage the cane arrears, and there is huge untapped potential in the same. So ethanol, we all can consider as a very vital cog for the sustenance of the sector. Let us see what more needs to be done for expanding the ethanol blending program. So in the current slide, we have listed few of the things that India still needs to focus on to make ethanol more remunerative for the industry. First one is the long-term contract. If we see the long-term transparent pricing policies are required in India, and new tenders which are being floated by the OMCs are now long-term supply contracts. So to augment the ethanol production capacities, the intra-subvention schemes have to be continuously being supported by the government. And government has even come out with not just the sugar mills and molasses. Now it has even extended these subvention schemes to the mill owners who want to probably make it from the grain based also. Also, if we talk about, we need to augment the tankage capacities. There is an urgent need to augment the tankage capacities in all the depots by the OMCs so that they can lift the entire quantity that has been contracted for in a particular ethanol supply year. The problem is that we produce sugarcane in the 3 states, like we were talking about in UP, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. And transporting ethanol to far-flung states will be extremely expensive. So therefore, we need to find a way where we increase the blending percentage from 10 to 20% in the states where the sugarcane is produced. Lastly is the flex vehicles. So to promote the manufacturing and the tax incentives on flex vehicles, this is the next step to encourage the higher adoption. Also, E20 by 2025 will require manufacturing of vehicles compatible with the E20 fuels and E100 in coming years. So the automotive industry also needs to make the cars that can take up the 20% ethanol blended petrol, and the existing depots must increase the tankage capacities across the country. So Brazil and USA are very large players in ethanol in the world, and to get to those levels, India needs to act upon these few things that we have listed. So when we say the way forward, then yes, we are talking about the continuous measure by the government to support the sector and ensuring a vibrant ethanol sector. One of the oldest pending reforms, if we talk about, is rationalizing the sugarcane pricing policy. The most acute and the structural issue in the industry has been non-linkage of the sugarcane to end product realization, and the package introduced by the government in 2018 or afterwards is not addressing this at all. As the cane crushing commences, the supply pressure on prices cannot be ruled out completely. So high cane cost of production along with supply-induced pricing pressures results in margin pressures for the millers. The cost of production, however, continues to remain high, and high cane prices incentivize farmers to keep sowing and vis-a-vis the other crops, and this would increase the supply pressures in the medium terms. So sugarcane policy can be rationalized by adopting a combination of the revenue sharing formula and FRP, whichever is higher. Any increase in the sugarcane prices and FRP could have negatively impacted the cash flows of the sugar companies, and in turn, this could break the entire value chain. So the long pending reforms probably we all need to look into, and the rationalizing of the sugarcane pricing policy is also the need of the hour. Moving on, with this slide, we'll give you the brief of impact that the COVID had on the sector. The supply side of the industry had no major impact, and on the demand side also, if we see, the COVID impacted the sugar industry initially, but with gradual release of the lockdown, the demand and the prices both recovered. Overall, the sector was resilient to the impact of the COVID, unlikely to many other sectors. It was initially expected that the demand from the bulk consumers would be very subdued, and it was expected that the sugar production would, the consumption would come down by 1 to 1.5 million tons. However, this is not the case because household consumption significantly increased. Also, the sugar prices were approximately lower in April and May. That was in the first quarter, but they started recovering from the quarter 2, and currently they are standing around 32 to 33 rupees per kg. So coming to the outlook of the sector, CARE's outlook on the sector is stable. Sugar season 2021 will be another year of surplus in India. However, the global market is, however, likely to report a deficit with lower output from EU and Thailand, which has been on the recent press release from ISO. Also on February 1st, 2021, the Government of India announced the annual budget for the Indian fiscal year, wherein the budget estimates of approximately close to 43.3 billion was announced for the domestic sugar industry. And also the import duty on the denatured ethanol was increased to 5% from its current applicable 2.5%. Export subsidy has been announced in December 2020 by the Government of India, which is close to 457 million US dollars to facilitate the sugar exports of 6 million tons. Also globally, if we see expected lower sugar output in the EU, which is the world's third largest sugar producer, and Thailand, which is the second largest sugar exporter, and uncertainty over Brazilians' diversion of the cane crop towards the sugar for sugar season 2021 will lead to an upward trend in the international sugar prices. And we all know also that currently the international sugar prices are soaring a little higher. So current sugar scenario is proving to be very favorable for the Indian sugar exports. However, container shortages and uncertainty of the exports to Iran because of the Indian rupee shortage with Iran are the challenges that are expected to make difficult for India to attain the sugar exports of 6 million ton. In addition to this, the expected sugar outbound shipments that might happen from Brazil in April 2021 may increase the competition for sugar exports from India. The global sugar prices, which is the white sugar price in London and the raw sugar price in New York, is approximately 38 rupees per kg and 31 rupees per kg, respectively, which are likely to stay firm and are expected to maintain the current price range till March 2021, unless the sugar from Brazil for the new season is putting any kind of pressure in April 2021. SAP in UP, which is the highest state, remains unchanged. And the Food Ministry earlier, they passed a proposal that they would be increasing the MSP to 33. However, the decision is still pending. This can, however, lead to an overall improvement in the EBITDA margins of the sugar millers if announced. Further, if we see, we have listed a few key factors impacting the credit profile of the sugar industry, which are assessed by CARE for evaluating the credit profile of a company. The first one being the government policies, because the industry is a very regulated one, and sugar companies' credit risk profile is vulnerable to the government policies. The next one is the demand and the supply cycle. The sugar industry is cyclical in nature. However, the cyclicality of the Indian sugar industry is fully supply driven. And factors like opening sugar, expected sugar production in the domestic and even in the global scenarios, and the prevailing sugar prices are all assessed while assessing the profile. In addition to that, the market position and the size of the player and the level of the integration and the diversification of the revenue streams is also assessed. Further, the very important factor is the debt management. Hence, efficiently managing of all the seasonal working capital requirements between the regulated environment of the sugar industry is a critical factor for all the sugar companies, which is being assessed. And all these factors have a impact on the credit profile of the mill owners. To sum up these factors, each of these factors is arrived at the overall assessment of the credit quality of the issuer, and along with this, the past trends and the future strategies of the industry, the competition, etc., are all taken into account. So if we move on to the trends in the financial performance of the sugar players, we have picked up a sample size of the published results of the companies, and these graphs will help us see how the sugar production and consumption patterns along with the trend in the sugar prices have an impact on the operational performance of the sugar players. As we all can see that the sugar companies have been major improvement in their financial performance in financial year 17, when the companies reported significant improvement in their profitability and the interest coverage indicators. With the improved bottom lines, a lot of sugar companies have reduced their debt levels and the overall gearing for the industry improved, as can be seen in the second graph, which is below. However, the supply side surprises in the domestic market exerted pressure on the prevailing prices and posed a serious threat to sustenance of the recovery in FY18. I hope we are all able to relate it to the global to the graphs earlier, where we have shown that the sugar prices fell significantly in FY18 before the MSP was introduced. So even after the bumper production in sugar season 19 and 18, which happened, the industry was able to evade any losses in financial year 19, mainly due to the government decision of introducing the MSP for the sugar and also a monthly release quota mechanism. Moreover, government is also supporting industry with a favorable biofuel and ethanol policy. Moving to the rating dispersion for the sector, approximately 30% of the portfolio is in A grade and 13% is BBB grade. A significant portion of the sugar companies continue to be in the sub-investment grade. However, with the government's focus on the agriculture sector and the performance of the sugar sector is expected to improve. With this, we come to the end of our presentation, and I'll now request Gaurav to please take up.
Yeah, thank you, Ravli. So against the backdrop of the points presented just now, we would now try to get some valuable insights from our panelist, Mr. Gupta. So, sir, how has been the year so far, and how do you see the sugar scenario at the end of the production season, sir?
First of all, Gaurav and Ravin, thank you for providing this opportunity to me, and congratulations for a wonderful and very communicable presentation. So coming on the production for this sugar season, as you mentioned in one of your slides that last year we were lower at 27.5, and this year we are touching at 30 million tons. After taking that into account, 2 million tons diversion towards ethanol. we are probably down by 3 million from last year production. The interesting point this year is the shifting of production from one state to other state. Like UP is expected to go down from 26.5 million tons to 10.5 million tons, which is lower, mainly owing to the lower cane yield and lower recovery in some of the regions in UP. Maharashtra is going definitely up from 6.2 to around 10.5 million tons this time. And Karnataka also moving in same direction with marginally higher from 3.5 million tons to around 4.5 million tons this year. So considering that 30 million tons this year and taking account the opening inventory, and also the interesting point is on the demand side and the export prices. This year against the 6 million tons export quota given by the government, 4.5 have already been contracted. This is really, international prices are really attractive. That is going to be a key driver this year. And within 2-3 months of span of time, this kind of quantity being contracted, this is a good sign for the industry. Of course, on the demand side, in like couple of months, we have been seeing subdued demand because of lower participation in celebration, what it used to be. But when summer season comes up, probably we can see like higher offtakes from sugar point of view. But yes, considering 30 million tons of production this year, stocks are high in the country vis-a-vis we are expecting to be.
Okay. So, sir, as you said, we'll continue to have a high level of stock, and export is something which we are looking forward to. 4.3 million metric tons, as you said, has been already contracted. So for the balance part of the year, I think this is one of the major things which industry will bank upon. Any other thing which industry is looking at handling this challenge, sir? How industry looks at that, sir?
See, I believe one of the point you touched upon is the ethanol branding program. That has been really boon for the industry and is going to be the key driver for bringing kick-in sustainability in the industry. Right. If you see, considering going forward, as per this is what personal industry is going through some structural changes. So considering, suppose if you take this program takes into account 5 million tons of sugar diversion towards ethanol program, correct? Right. And a demand going up to 26.5 million tons. So we are at 30 point, we are able to absorb around 31.5, 32 million tons kind of production in India. That means that if that equation comes up, we don't need any export, which the government is also trying to cap by 2023. So that sustainability is already there in the system. Now, issue is the challenges are there to get it implemented. Even government is very happy with the ethanol program. So that is why they preponed their target to achieve 20% by 2030 to 2025. So the ethanol is going to be the key driver, and that is why the structural changes are taking place. And I believe ethanol is going to be the troubleshooter for all the problems for the sugar industry. Okay.
So any focus area in terms of that, sir? As we I think Raveen also touched upon the fact that storage capacity and all are something which we need to work on. Anything which comes to your mind in terms of one of the biggest hurdles before we go to ethanol being such a sustainable thing for us?
Yes, definitely challenges are there. OMCs will have to ramp up their tankage facilities, petrol pump retailing stations have to create dispensation facilities, and of course the most important part is the oil the vehicle manufacturer. So they will have to again start producing vehicles which can absorb 20% kind of ethanol. That kind of engines are required. So the vehicle manufacturer will have to take a move on this also. So these are, and I believe, they all are geared up. And I believe by when we reach 2020-25, so I believe all the things should be attended, and we all should be ready, because this is not for just for sugar industry. This is this is a game changer for country as a whole also,
Right.
right? So yeah.
And I believe, sir, with now crude prices rising the way they are, I believe the incentive for moving towards ethanol is even higher.
Frankly, I don't see ethanol prices in India tracking crude prices. I mean, the ethanol prices in India are linked to some way or other way FRP of the sugarcane, right?
Right. Hmm.
So I don't see because if you remember the last year, the crude prices touched base of almost negative kind of thing happened
Mhm.
in some part of the world, but ethanol prices were keep intact. Rather, we have been like witnessing ethanol prices increasing year on year basis.
Right. Mhm.
And to add on the kind of supply we are seeing and the kind of capacities coming into the picture this year and going forward in next 2-3 years, I mean, that is showing the industry's confidence in the government, and the government is also recognizing industry's expectation for giving long-term visibility on ethanol blending program.
Correct.
So it's a win-win situation for all the stakeholders: government, industry, the farmers, everyone.
So just one final thing from my side. We have been of late seeing a second wave of COVID now again, coming, and
Yeah.
some states are witnessing a sharp jump in the COVID cases. So do we see any impact of that as in right now? Are we seeing any indications of that in our
As I
industry?
said, yeah, as I said, last year we have seen there was, I mean, there was subdued things during the COVID time, but that was recovered after the COVID period, right? But if second waves comes in, we can see some lower consumption, but again, that is going to 26 from 26 to 25.5, not much change.
Okay.
And then that can be recovered in later part of the season. I mean, summer is already started kicking in, so I don't think there's going to be any much difference on the sugar offtakes.
Okay. Fine. I think that was from my side.
Nalin sir, few of the we have few questions from the attendees. If you can just guide us. So to begin with, sir, as we have been discussing, or probably we all have been reading. So one of the attendees wants to ask that, sir, at what price range is it more remunerative for the industry players to produce more ethanol, or probably to give away the sugar production, sir? What would be the price range?
Yeah, this actually considering, I mean, this we have been debating among ourselves, but if you take the normative is 1.6 times of normally, this is thumb rule. If sugar prices are like say 35, so ethanol price has to be 1.6 times of it. So if we take into account ethanol prices derived out of sugarcane, which is at 62.6, and if we apply this norm, so sugar relations against sugarcane derived ethanol comes to around 38, 39, right?
Correct,
Net of incremental charges. B heavy, if we see, it comes around 35, 36. So 1.6 is kind of indicator. If you apply, you can have a sense of the break-even prices.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir. And so one of the attendees is wanting to know, sir, that the ethanol storage capacity of the OMCs need to be, something that probably we all, the domestic industry needs to come up with. So, sir, in regards with that, he's asking that, is there any proposal of the government currently to work on, or probably is there anything being submitted by ISMA, something of that sort, sir? Is it happening?
So the matter, as you mentioned in one of your presentation, that the capacities that are coming into play by next year, next years. So this is the key challenge that we are going to face. So the agencies, the ISMA, government industry is taking up with the government and the OMCs also to ramp up their tankage and storage facilities and develop their infrastructure, because some of the depots are in remote areas, right? So apart from the tankage, that infra, the road, the outlay program that really need to be ramped up. So industry is taking up these matters with the OMCs and the government.
Okay, okay. And also, sir, a lot of support from government has been coming. That is all that we all know. But sir, few of the mill owners specifically, there has been a challenge to get the funding from the banks. Specifically, we are not talking about the large players. We are here talking about the smaller players. So, sir, with currently so much of thrust that the government is playing on the industry players, sir, is there a change around it, or how is the funding pattern moving, sir, for the small mill owners?
Yeah, that is really the key concern, because some of the sugar mills even are not able to mobilize their funding from the banks because of the low rating of the areas or the debt in these companies. So that is the key concern that is to be discussed with the government. They need to have some sort of financial assistance from the government. So
Okay.
apart from the blending program already pictured in the export already there, so some sort of financial support is required by the industry.
Sure, sir.
See, this has to be seen pan-India basis. Of course, that some companies are doing good, some companies got good balance sheet. But if you see the Maharashtra side, the cooperative sector side, and the weaker companies, then some sort of financial support is required from the government.
Okay, okay. And so one of the queries is, sir, one of the mill owners, so one of the attendees wants to know that what are the advantages of operating a sugar mill or a ethanol capacity in UP relative to southern states, specifically Karnataka? Sir, we all know that actually UP is a irrigated belt as compared to Maharashtra and Karnataka,
Yes.
which are more dependent on the monsoons.
Yes.
So yes, sir.
Yeah, please. So you are bang on. I mean, the UP, if you see the variation in UP supply, sugar in UP varies not more than 10-50%. It doesn't move 50 or 50% down and 50% up. That is because most of the area is properly irrigated, and this production in UP increased because of that new variety came into the picture. Yields have improved, recoveries have improved. It's like win-win situation, both mill and farmer. So that is why UP is a better bet as compared to Maharashtra and Karnataka.
Okay, sure, sir. And so through our presentation, though, I'm sure we've been able to answer to one of the attendees who's asking this, but from an industry perspective, sir, so they are asking you sustainability of the ethanol realization beyond FY23 or moving forward, sir, how would it be? Sir, I think the lot of answer holds, if probably one studies the Brazil sugar industry very closely, because how Brazil is able to switch between the sugar and the ethanol, and how are they actually being very thing. But anything more from your end, sir, that you would like to add?
No, so I mean the indications of factors are already in the market. The government preponing target to achieve 20% from 2030 to 2025, increasing the OMCs have already given tenders to submit expression of interest for next 5 years. Correct. It's not year-on-year program now. So visibility
Sure,
is there from the government side, from the OMC side, and that is why the capacities are coming up. Industry has now gained the confidence that this program will continue for a sustainable future.
Okay, okay, sure, sir. Sir, I think with this we have covered almost all the queries that have come in, and thank you so much for your input, sir. Over to you, Mradul. You there?
Yep. Thank you, Ravleen, Gaurav, and thank you, Mr. Nalan Gupta, for your participation and insightful views. And thanks again to all the participants for taking your time out and being a part of this Care Ratings webinar. We hope the discussion was insightful and look forward to your participation in future also. For any further queries, suggestions, feedback, you're most welcome to write in the comment box, which will be coming no sooner the webinar ends. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.